Remember a couple weeks ago, we brought attention to the city of Camdenton and growing concerns in regards to drama with city leadership, allegations of retaliation and unfair treatment, and concerns about the Camdenton Airport with Lake Aviation, the Air Show Committee, Chamber of Commerce, and city leadership. And so I attended a couple of meetings and was curious as to what's going on with the bad blood, the future of the airport, and how we got here to begin with. So last Friday, you, myself, and Nathan Bechtel were invited in and met with City Administrator Jeff Hooker, Mayor John McNabb, and Assistant City Administrator Renee Kingston, and had a very productive couple hours sit down.
Yeah, it was a really nice chat. I thought they were very open and honest, and we talked about everything that's going on and where all this drama is coming from, where it started, and so we kind of got the backstory of, some problems between the Camdenton Chamber of Commerce and the city, and some bad feelings there, and then the airport, situation and what was going on with that. So it was really interesting. The old wisdom is, there's always two sides to a story, right? So one side feels this way, they say this happened or that happened, then you talk to the other side and they feel this way and they say this happened. A lot of it comes down to feelings. My feelings got hurt or their feelings got hurt, and then we got into this bad thing. So that was a good sit down. We learned a lot, understood a lot. They let us record the whole thing, so it was very interesting.
Yeah, and like you said, there's bad blood, hurt feelings, sides and feelings of under appreciation, and really the biggest concerns that I had, we're gonna narrow it down to three, right, was transparency, like meetings not being streamed, and there were concerns about previous meetings being deleted, citizens being allowed to speak at meetings, right? That was something that we were concerned with. I had attended a couple of meetings and watched members who had filled out comment cards be denied by Mayor McNabb the opportunity to speak at these meetings, and so that was a concern. And then the third was Lake Aviation and the Camdenton Airport with Corey Lewerke, and so I'm not really sure I'm gonna be able to navigate all of the he said, she said back and forth, but I can address those three, right? So the first thing, the transparency, they're saying in talking with the city, like first, the way Osage Beach does it, that was what I said. Like, go learn from the city of Osage Beach. Like a lot of people, if they could go watch these meetings later, it wouldn't be he said, she said. They could go back and watch for themselves.
Just all there, yeah.
And it's all recorded. Then everybody's kind of protected. And they said we had done this previously. The problem was we couldn't do it well. Like we had audio issues, we had connection issues, we had camera issues. And so what it did was it made us look bad. And so I could understand that, but I was like, okay, how about the older meetings that had been on there? And they said because Facebook changed it, they deleted any live videos that were 30 days or older. Now that I can confirm because that happened to us at Lake TV with all of our older football games, and trying to go back and watch those, they're gone. Those links, anything that was 30 days or older, Facebook changed the rulings. And so I asked, okay, so what could you guys do about this? It shouldn't be that expensive. And they said not only would it be a cost issue, but even if we had the money, we don't have the manpower to run those and operate them. They said that if you go to Osage Beach's meetings, they have like an entire TV crew that sets all that up and runs the cameras and gets everything ready with audio. So that was how they answered that. Now in regards to citizens speaking, right, that was something that we had witnessed, I had witnessed firsthand, and Jeff Hooker said, okay, it used to be that it had to be on the agenda. However, with the Board of Aldermen overruling that we were shutting down people from speaking, there's now been a change where the Board of Aldermen says anybody that wants to speak and fills out the card will be able to speak. I pushed pretty hard and said, okay, can we get that in writing? Is there a new statute? How can we guarantee moving forward that you won't prevent somebody from speaking, whether you like what they're gonna say? That's a great opportunity, I said, to hear from them, right? With your Board of Aldermen, with other people who are at the meeting, and if it's recorded, it's a great time to have those first initially asked. They said moving forward, that will be the case. And the other big thing was Lake Aviation and the Camdenton Airport. It seemed to catch everyone by surprise that the city of Camdenton is considering taking over control of the Camdenton Airport. It's currently contracted through Lake Aviation, which is run by Corey Lewerke, and his contract is through the July of 2026. Now, it's important to note that the biannual Lake of the Ozarks Air Show that takes place in Camdenton is set for September of 2026. And so there was some back and forth. And when it came to the airport and sitting down with Jeff Hooker, he says, hey, This is not a retaliation deal. This is not a we want to get back and really hit them. This is a fiscal decision, and we have been considering taking over control of the Camdenton Airport for quite some time. Apparently, it used to be run by the city of Camdenton.
That's what they were saying.
City Administrator Hooker said, so they have the track record previously, but his big argument was that by the city taking over control of the Camdenton Airport, that they would gain access to massive revenue. This was their claims, right? Now, following the meeting and speaking with Corey Lewerke, that is really where the discrepancy is going to be. But it was claimed that the city is missing out on $1.75 per gallon of fuel sold on the airport in profit that currently goes to Lake Aviation. And it was also alleged that in August, there was between 35 and 40,000 gallons of gas sold at the Camdenton Airport.
Yeah.
You can do the math, $1.70 in profit times 40,000, you're talking $75,000 roughly. And so that's a lot of money. However, Corey Lewerke said it's actually currently closer to about $1 per gallon, and we are funding our 5 to 10 employees from that, and the only profit is really through their private hangar leases, which all airports have. And so it'll be interesting because it does look like that with the motion made at the last meeting to extend Corey Lewerke and Lake Aviation's contract that the Board of Aldermen made, both City Administrator Jeff Hooker, Mayor John McNabb, Assistant City Administrator Renee Kingston said, if that is what our bosses, the Board of Aldermen, want and approve in a vote, we will move forward with that, even if it's not what we feel is in the best interest. Because we wanted to know, hey, what qualifies the city to take over and run an airport, especially a booming airport? And so it's going to be some he said, she said, and it looks like at the upcoming meeting, which is a week from this last Tuesday, so your upcoming Tuesday meeting with Camdenton, they should be voting on the extension of Corey Lewerke and Lake Aviation contract through December of 2026, which would actually be 7 months added on to the contract that's in place. But I can tell you this, in sitting down, how the city moves forward with the Camdenton Airport and Lake Aviation, whether it's July of 2026 or December of 2026, it is a rocky relationship. And with the airport and the growing and the air show coming back September of 2026, it's going to be interesting to see how both sides navigate from this point forward and how they do move forward.
Yeah, it really is. One thing that looks like is for sure is that the city of Camdenton wants to take over the Camdenton Airport. They've been basically, farming that out and paying Lake Aviation to run it for them. The city feels like they're ready to take it over. They've got a plan in place to hire a manager and bring the manager in, sit with Lake Aviation and Corey Lewerke for 6 months or so, learn everything, see everything, and then the city would take over. And like you said, they're saying there's a lot of extra revenue to be made for the city of Camdenton if they run it on their own. And this is all pretty normal. This is the way things happen, and there's usually bad blood that happens with this, all this stuff too. Hopefully from here on out, it can go smoother than it has been, for sure. But I understand where the city of Camdenton is if they feel like they're ready to take back over operations of the airport, which they used to do. Then apparently whoever they had operating the airport passed away unexpectedly, and they didn't know how to run it, so they had to hire, Lake Aviation to do it, and that's been the way it's been for a while. So, I understand them wanting to take it over. I understand the bad blood happening. It's all fairly normal. It doesn't make it any easier.
However, these are just the claims that were made, and I sent a lengthy recap of our meeting and with some follow-up questions over to the city. I included the Board of Aldermen and all involved parties because I think it's important that everybody gets to see the questions being asked and how they're answered instead of having all these private conversations and then going back and forth. I really like the idea of everyone being privy to all the communication because it will be interesting to see where is the research for Camdenton to take over this airport? And some of those terms that's a drastic difference in what the city of Camdenton is claiming profit is to be had and made and what the operator's currently claiming. And so it will be interesting to see, however this ends, is the city willing to kind of find out and share some of that research and those terms? Because I want to see those numbers. Like, I want to see, is there really that much money to be made? And are you considering the 5 to 10 staff members that Lake Aviation contracts to fulfill those duties? That is a lot. And off of the fuel sales profit, maybe the private hangar rental and fees, I don't know if that funds 5 to 10 additional employees. And I don't know if this is going to potentially add revenue to the bottom dollar for the city of Camdenton, or will this add liability and stress and cost them more money? And that's what I'd kind of like to know. And I kind of push the city to share some of that. Show us that you have been working on this. Show us this isn't retaliation. Show us that you guys are in a position to take over. And so it'll be interesting to see not only what they reply with, but also what kind of happens at this upcoming meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah, and Nathan Bechtel with Lake Expo has a story out on this too, and it'll be, I haven't read that yet, so I don't know what's in there, but it'll be interesting to see what he has dug up and what's in there. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on all this for you because it's all very interesting.
Yeah, normally Nathan is better at being diplomatic and, putting it into an easy to understand. And so I encourage you, go look at Nathan's article. He was with us. We got a chance to kind of review together and kind of talk about how do we best move forward. We don't want to hurt anybody. We want to find out what is going on and make sure everybody's on the same page because, like you said, this stuff does happen where people don't feel the same, but as long as it's transparent, I think it is
100% normal. I mean, it's just like what we've talked about big business in the past with the struggles that Jeff Tegetthoff has had building apartments and building the theme park, and sometimes you get shut down. Sometimes there's this hard. It's all normal, and sometimes it's ugly, and you get feelings hurt and stuff like that. But it's just the way things happen.
I mean, it is, but some of the things that aren't super normal is like the conflict with the chamber. That seemed weird, right?
Yeah, that
back
was
and
weird.
forth there is like normally those two entities work together pretty well because they're both trying to grow and help the city. So I don't know how much of this is normal just because there has been a little more drama, but we'll keep you posted and will be interesting to see what happens. And we encourage you to attend that meeting if you can. It starts at 6 o'clock in Camdenton. And I believe that is the 15th or it's the 16th coming up. Tuesday, 6 o'clock in Camdenton.